All right, Divorce Sisters fans, it has been quite the ride. Time flies by, to be honest. It doesn't even feel like this is the mid-season finale, but here we are with season one, episode 8, which, ironically enough, I'm giving this episode a solid 8 out of 10. Definitely an interesting way of closing off the first half of this pilot season for this new show, which honestly it has a lot of potential. And I just hope that the quality continues to maintain the same level of standard, if not continue to get better as the story progresses. But yes, birds of a feather, 8 out of 10 score. Let me know your thoughts on the episode in the comments below. After you listen to my commentary. I believe this is, and I could be wrong, but I think this was the shortest episode of the season so far, only clocking in at about 39 or 40 minutes if you subtract the recap and end credits. But this was a pretty interesting way to hit the midway point because of the fact that there was a definite setup for what's to come. And it seems that the back half of the season is going to be pretty intense, all things considered. But before moving forward, I just want to thank you all for the support. This is a new show, and it's not all that often that shows, hit like this one did. Sometimes a new show, I'm excited for it, but either the video views aren't that great or the hype just isn't there. But Divorce Sisters did deliver. What was it? Episode 7. That was, I believe, currently the most viewed episode review so far with over 10,000 hits. Hopefully the mid-season does well as, hopefully gets more views. But I just wanted to thank you all for following me on this journey for the new show. Congrats to the cast and crew. This show is very promising. A lot of fans love it. And I can't wait to see what's next. What is it? Mid-July. So I'd imagine the back half of season 1 will probably happen sometime, I don't know, October, November. Because remember, we still got other stuff coming up like Zatima season 4. Doesn't All the Queen's Men come back today, July 24th? Or maybe I'm thinking about it wrong. Not to mention the number of Netflix shows and movies Tyler Perry has coming out. So yeah, I think Divorce Sisters is probably going to come out sometime. Oh, actually, no, because Zatima comes on September 11th. Yeah, I'm guessing November. Yeah, I think Divorce Sisters will come back in November 2025. And last thing, we are about to, hit 300K. I mean, we just hit 295,000 subscribers this week. And I'm hoping to hit 300K before my birthday on August 29th. So if you're listening to this video and you have not subscribed to the channel, hit that button. Just do it. I'd appreciate it. Hit the thumbs up button to show you like the video. And I don't know, maybe over the weekend or something, I ought to do a live stream and we just discuss Divorce Sisters as a whole. Talk about the first 8 episodes. But with that being said, let's jump in. Rashida is done. That is the best way to describe it. She is washing her hands of Naomi. And I like how it isn't because of what Jeff told her. Because remember when they rode back from the hospital the night of the coffee, well, basically last night, the night of the coffee incident, Franklin got on Jeff about basically guilt by association that I can't donate the money because of Rashida's connection to Naomi. And then, this particular morning that the show is currently in, he basically says that after he goes after Naomi, Rashida's collateral damage due to, again, guilt by association. And, yeah, I like how Rashida made this choice for herself. It's almost like, both Rashida and Jeff got wake-up calls. Jeff when it comes to Myron, and Rashida when it comes to Naomi. And that you can't, Rashida's like, you can't help everyone. And the fact that her and the girls allowing Naomi to treat them the same way Franklin treated her is not going to help her at all. Naomi's going to continue down this destructive path. So she's pretty much done. And then when addressing the security footage, Tiff mentions how, there are rumors going around town. And then Rashida's like appalled that, the girls would hear about this kind of stuff, but then not say anything to her about it. But of course, It's just one of those things where you can let rumors, continue to circulate or just ignore them or address them. And I love how composed LaToya plays the character of Rashida. Because given the fact that her and her husband lead a church, there's all sorts of things they've dealt with at the head of an establishment like this. And I like how she's able to remain composed and just so eloquently tell Naomi that she's done with her. It's like, yeah, hurt people, but I'm not going to stand for your crap anymore. And, ladies, if you want to continue to engage with her, this is the kind of behavior we're going to have to tolerate. So it's pretty much up to you whether or not, you want to deal with it. Rumors can go around and we can pay attention to what happens on the inward net. Ironically enough, I brought this up in one of my videos. I think it was the live stream I did last night for Sistas. Yesterday, this video is going up today on Thursday. So yesterday, I watched 2 episodes of Keep It Positive, Sweetie, the Tinka Sumner and the KJ Smith episode. And I did see a clip circulating on Shade Room. Tyler Perry talking to Kirk Franklin about how he had to cut family off. And I'm like, okay, let me check out this interview. And it was essentially, it's good. Like, men, if there are any men listening to this video, go ahead and check it out. It's rare that we see just good, wholesome content from, black creators. And it was Kirk Franklin, Tyler Perry, Young Jeezy, and I forgot the other dude's name, but they had a good conversation for about an hour, I believe, at Kirk's house. And, we had a chef there and everything preparing good food, looking good food. And they sat at the table and just discuss life and business and things like that. Definitely go check that out. It's on the Kirk Franklin YouTube channel. You can't miss it. It's really good. And Tyler uses the term nigganet. I said it real fast, so hopefully the algorithm won't pick up on it. But Nigganet. And the fact that Rashida said that same phrase, I love that. I'm like, oh, that's where he got it from. But yeah, she's not letting these rumors circulate. And she goes so far as to call Myron and Jeff into the house, and Naomi plays the footage. And I love how Rashida takes a moment and just looks at Jeff's face. And Jeff is just, his face is all contorted like, what the? You could tell what was on his mind, like, what the F is this BS? So the footage stops, and they pretty much address Myron like, so Myron, what's this about? Who are you on the phone with? And then turns out Myron's been working for the pastor for the past like 3 years. And they asked, like, are you in love with my husband and whatnot? He's like, look, I love my wife. And Jeff pretty much clears up any sort of speculation, and Naomi doesn't help. So how long y'all been effing each other? And then Bridget steps up like, don't you talk to the pastor like that? Show some respect. What? Why show him respect? He ain't respecting her. He ain't honoring her by sleeping with this other man. And then Jeff pretty much like, oh, so is that what y'all believe? But sorry to disappoint you, but I am not interested in anyone else except for this woman right here. I'm not interested in any other woman. I'm not interested in any man. I'm not gay, bi, or anything like that. So Naomi just doesn't believe it. And from there, Rashida once again claims that, look, Naomi, I'm done with you. And she just continues to egg him on like, so, birds of a feather, huh? Pink feathers, huh? Oh, yeah, well, there's some feathers around here, too. And Rashida's about to go for the door. And, she's like, Jeff, could you give me a ride back to my truck? And Bridget, could you give Myron a ride back to his ride at the church? And Myron just says, no, it's fine. I'll just get my own ride. And I love how before he leaves, or before Rashida gets to the door, Jeff's like, hey, baby, wait, I'll open the door for you. He's like, yeah, well, she pretty much addresses yet again that Naomi is messy and basically don't believe everything you hear. So then they leave. And as soon as they leave, and it's just Geneva and Tiffany, because remember, Bridget is about to give Tiffany a ride home because Myron's getting a ride share. Everybody's outside except for those three. And that's when the police show up and they serve Naomi. And it turns out Franklin is suing for the assault, obviously with the coffee burning his wife, for $50 million. So essentially, he's suing to get back everything he lost in the settlement. And this just goes to show, it's what Rashida tried to tell Naomi in the last episode that you need to let go of this bitterness and this hatred. Listen, I know what happened between you and Franklin wasn't great, from the diseases to the cheating and this, that, and the third. But the thing is, you got off easier than most people. Think about all the other couples out there, women who get cheated on, left as single moms, and they got either a deadbeat ex or an ex-husband who either doesn't pay child support or gives them any sort of money after the split. Yet you got millions of dollars. I forgot the exact amount. Wasn't it something around the ballpark of like 36 million? Please let me know if I'm wrong. But I know it was over 24 basically over $24 million. And it's like, you got the house and everything and let it go. But no, because of your hatred and bitterness, basically playing in the gutters, basically the mud with Franklin, these sick games, instead of moving on, you're going to end up losing everything. And by the time you realize that you need to move on and quit playing these games, it's going to be too late. And that's essentially what's happening here, because if Jeff wins this lawsuit, then it's a wrap. Like, she's going to lose everything. And Geneva looks at the paperwork, because Naomi just laughs it off, not taking it seriously at all. And Geneva's like, girl, I don't even think there's anything I could do for you. So at this point, Naomi's going to look up and she's going to be alone. She's going to lose everything. And all she had to do was just live her life. Yeah, probably go to therapy and whatnot to deal with any sort of inner demons and the turmoil of her husband cheating, getting another woman pregnant, and then marrying that woman. But nah, this is just insane work. And this was probably my favorite scene of the episode, but we got Rashida and Jeff, riding back to the church, and just seeing them laughing and smiling together. Not to mention, too soon Rashida, but she was just laying on the jokes a bit too thick, and it was hilarious in regards to Myron. So she calls out Jeff for being naive, and he can't believe that he didn't see the Myron thing a mile away. But Rashida knew, because it goes back to like episode 1 and 2 with that young girl telling Rashida that your husband and I have been sleeping together for like the past like couple months. And Rashida told Bridget about the fact that this kind of thing happens more often than not. And without her around, there's a good chance that Jeff could have fallen victim to one of these schemes a long time ago, but he doesn't know. So essentially, Rashida's covering for him more than he even realizes, because, he didn't see it. But then again, Rashida brings up how, well, we both grew up differently. And, he makes her kind of blush by mentioning, well, it's a good thing I didn't, grow up like you, because that's what makes you so special. And yet again, he apologizes for any shortcomings he's had in the past, and he's going to try to do better. So it was just good to see them able to crack jokes and, laugh it off. But at the same time, it's that reassurance like, hey, I haven't been the best, husband parent I could have been. So I'm going to try and do better. So essentially, making sure his actions line up with his words is the best way to sum things up. But she does mention how, because I like how he takes a moment to consult Rashida in terms of how to handle the Myron situation. Like, wait, should I fire him? It's like, just talk to him, because you don't want to instantly fire him and then he tries something wild like trying to sue. I don't know. Maybe it's one of those things where I can't think of the word right now, but wrongful termination, or like, oh, he only fired me because I'm gay or something like that. But then again, number one, Myron won't admit to himself or others that he's into the same sex. And number two, well, hey, it's just one of those things where people will find any sort of way to get back at someone they feel wrongfully accused by. So, but then again, I don't know. It's just interesting how this could work out. But from there, they changed subjects to their son, and Rashida had a peek up, and it turns out that, she thinks it's a possibility their son is on drugs, and his demeanor's been completely off. She goes so far as to tell Jeff, cuss him out. Wait, you want me to cuss him out, Rashida? None of your little pep talks or whatever, like, you need to cuss him out. And then she tells him, look down. Well, wait, what's that? Why is the seat warmer on? Oh, that was Myron probably getting your behind warm and ready. And that was just, again, that was messed up. But it was a cute scene. It was hilarious. And given everything they've been through since episode 1, it was good just to see these two laughing together. So from there, we go over to Bridget taking Tiffany back to the church to drop her off. And, it is mentioned about, the Naomi situation, how it's only going to get worse and worse, and how, ironically, Franklin's suing for more than enough money to get back the money he paid in the divorce settlement. And, Tiff does mention how she does have to pay spousal support $600 a month. Damn. That's not bad, but depending on your income, $600 is a lot. Don't get me wrong. I'm not undercutting how much money $600 is, but good grief, that ex-husband is pitiful. That's just ridiculous. So from there, Bridget drops Tiffany off, who gets in a ride because she's got to get ready to go home for her. She got to go home to get ready for her date with Javon later that night. And Bridget sees Myron crying in the car. It's like, I'm just here to clean out my desk because I know I'm about to get fired. And then Bridget tries to, calm him down, saying like, are you gay? I love my wife. And it's like, listen, basically just, how the pastor and first lady are. They are understanding, forgiving people, and they aren't going to judge you if you are gay. But the thing is, you need to be honest with yourself. You need to talk to somebody. You need to do something, because come tomorrow, and it's like, what time are you going to be here? I'm going to be here around 9 o'clock. Okay, well, I'll come and I'll wait for you then, and we can go in there together. And it's like, yeah, I'll walk into church with you, but eventually you're going to have to talk to him. And, if you don't want to be honest and come out to me, well, you're going to have to be honest and, talk to them, because the thing is, they're understanding people, but the problem is you can't lie to their faces. So just be ready for tomorrow. And as soon as Myron gets in the car and leaves, that's when Rashida and Jeff pull up. And Jeff goes into church, and Rashida stays behind to talk with Bridget, noticing that, hey, I saw you and Myron talking, and she pretty much addresses the fact that, girl, he thinks he's going to be fired. Are you going to fire him? And Rashida gives her a look. Okay. Well, he'll probably be back tomorrow to talk to you two, as he just goes to work like normal. So from there, we go over to Tiffany arriving home and getting a call from Javon, who gives her two interesting bits of details. Number one, he loves the home and he wants to buy it the sooner the better because he's tired of staying in a hotel. Number two, how are you the type who wouldn't be against going on a spontaneous trip? And then he mentions how, let's double vacation to Italy with Geneva and William. And she's unsure about it. What about Anika? Like, I'm supposed to watch her. Well, call Rashida or somebody to watch her. And she's down. She's like, let me talk to William, to talk to Geneva, to try to butter her up to the idea, and we'll see what happens from there. And we go over to the hospital, and Naomi's on the phone with Hakeem, telling him to meet her at the bank later on. And she goes into Leslie's hospital room. Franklin obviously wants her out, but she comes with some black roses. Like, wow. So pretty much she's there simply to taunt him into putting hands on her like he used to, because he's not going to do it, because he understands the game. Basically, you're trying to push me and motivate me to assault you so you can countersue. But that's not going to happen. I'm not going to play your game. So he calls for the nurse and wants security to get Naomi out of there. But, Naomi is like, oh, and she just goes on a random tirade and whatnot. This woman is not helping her case, and she is going to lose everything. Because in the very next scene, we see her at the bank with Hakeem. I believe this is the safety deposit box she was telling him about with $1 million in there. And, he thought she was playing, but it was like, how do you know I won't crack you upside the head, take this money and leave right now? Your daughter's 9, right? What? And basically, Naomi makes it clear that this entire thing was already pre-planned. Before you even came over to my house, I knew everything about you. From your 15 years behind bars for assault, attempted murder, the fact you're on probation right now. what I called you up for the first time wasn't just for sex. It was a long game. And remember how she initially promised him 10K up front? Remember that? She doesn't want to do it. And he pretty much says, F you, and leaves. And, she tells, bank security to throw him out. So essentially, now she's up the creek without a paddle. No one to take out Franklin and his wife. And she's probably about to lose everything in this lawsuit, goes to court, and Franklin wins. So what's she going to do? Is Akeem going to, change his mind? I don't know. I feel like Naomi making it clear that she knows everything about him put him in a situation where he's not in control. So I feel like that's probably a major turnoff for him in terms of wanting to do this plan. So is Naomi going to find someone else to do it? Will Hakeem, change his mind? I don't know. But in any case, we go over to Rashida on her way home, and Tiffany calls her and asks for advice about Javon talking about this upcoming spontaneous trip to Italy with William and Geneva. But of course, Rashida knows the truth about the affair and essentially says, look, you just met this man. It's like, you ought to just take things slow. You sound like Geneva. Well, I guess you're right. And I was actually going to, I thought you were supposed to be watching Anika. Well, that's kind of why I called you, to see if you could do it if I went on this trip. So she says, you know what? Fine. I'll just tell him at dinner tonight that I can't go. And then we go over to the church where Myron comes into Jeff's office. Is like, what are you doing here? Oh, I was here to just clean my desk. And that's when they have an interesting conversation, which reminded me of, and I know how some people in the comments were like, Jeremy, I love your commentary and your reviews of Divorced Sisters, but you don't always have to compare it to Sisters. And I mean, that is true, but I do want to, when I see a scene in one Tyler Perry show about a particular subject that reminds me of another Tyler Perry show, I will bring it up. Case in point, Jeff asked Myron if he's gay, and for like the 8th time this episode, he says, I love my wife. And he's like, well, you could still love your wife and be gay. But the thing is, like, I'm not holding it against you or anything. But the problem is, there's nothing like that going on between us, because to sum it up, he doesn't swing that way. And I'm not into you in that way at all. So the thing is that going to be a problem, because you got a job to do? Myron is just taken aback by the fact that he seemingly isn't going to lose his job. And Jeff asked, like, who were you on the phone with? Was it a woman or a man? It was a man. Who was it? And he doesn't give the identity, but apparently Myron was told by another man who works at the church as well that the pastor was into him. And in order to avoid this person like losing their job or whatever, he doesn't tell the identity. But essentially, Jeff makes it clear, like, yet again, like, I'm not going to let your sexuality be an issue. But the thing is, you have to know that I'm not into that, or you, or any man or woman outside of my wife. So as long as you are able to deal with that, and I mean, if you don't want to be honest with me about if you like men or whatever, then talk to somebody, but not me, about this. But you're still free to do your job. But, obviously Rashida is going to want to talk to you, and you know how she is. So you better be ready for that conversation. And I like the outcome of this, because this reminded me of the haves and the have-nots when, oh gosh, Charles and Landon, right? I think Landon was his name. Maggie Day's right-hand man who was gay and into Jeffrey, but then that didn't work out. So he started, having feelings for Charles, and then he tried something sexual with Charles, but Charles like quickly put an end to that and knocked him across the jaw. And then the next day he went to check on Landon and said nothing like that could ever happen again. But I don't want to lose you as a, manager on my campaign because you're so good at your job. And I like the way of that. I like the outcome of the situation, showing that, look, just because two people are of opposite, sexuality doesn't mean they can't work together. But there has to be boundaries and understanding of, hey, 1, I don't swing that way. 2, those kind of feelings are inappropriate between an employer and employee, and also the fact that, don't be inappropriate. So I like the outcome of this. And there's an understanding of forgiveness there, but also an understanding of slow your roll. Don't let it happen again. And also, it was mentioned that at Naomi's house that Jeff had received an email about someone at the church being in love with him, but he didn't think too much of it because those kind of things are not uncommon. And he didn't know who the sender was. And Geneva's like, do you still have the email? And if you have the IP address, I could track it. And I like the way they kind of came together on that one. That was pretty cool. Okay, and we are rounding out the episode here. Okay. Yeah, Rashida actually is in her bedroom and sees that her son is like, taking something out. And it's like, what are you doing? I was looking for a tie for Sunday. The ties are in the closet. And then she gets her son to open his hand. And there's a huge wad of cash in there. And she demands it back. Like, I just gave you money because you asked your dad for money as well. Like, what's going on? I'm going to the movies with some friends. What friends? Oh, you don't know them. And then things escalate to the point where she wants to get him to pee in that cup because she suspects he's on drugs. And this boy goes so far as to like take and squeeze her wrist. And then when he realized what he was doing, and like she kind of, stands to herself like, boy, if you don't get off me. And it's like, Mom, I'm sorry, because her daughter is looking in the doorway as well. So as soon as the son bolts off, the daughter steps up and asks if she's okay. He's like, look, I'm fine. So she runs after her brother. And obviously this is something that's going to be brought up in the next episode. Now from there, we go over to, let's see, William and Geneva. Well, poor little tink tink. So William brings Geneva into the kitchen with a surprise like, hey, and it's Javon. And this is like the second time because remember, wasn't it like episode 2 where William had the surprise of inviting Javon to the church fundraiser with him? And as a result, Geneva was, feeling awkward the entire time. Same thing applies here because Javon was teaching him, how to cook proper steak. And then the dialogue here was so messed up and flirtatious. Like, oh, I'll just wait for dinner. Like, oh, don't mind me. I'm just here to finish up cooking. Then I'm about to leave. And it's like, you want to try it? Oh, no, it's fine. I'll wait till dinner. Oh, well, I want to see the look on your beautiful face when you try this savory meat. Awkward silence. William's like, I'll try some. So he tries it. It's like, this is delicious, baby. And then Javon looking directly at Geneva. Yeah, well, the thing, about this kind of thing is you have to let it marinate, have to be patient. Wait for the temperature to be right and for it to rise. And I'm just like, what the? Oh, baby, you got to try this meat. And I'm like, the flirtatious dialogue from Javon, the look of disgust on Geneva's face, and the blissful obliviousness of William eating the meat is just hilarious. So he ends up leaving. Oh, yeah. But actually, William's like, oh, yeah, real quick before you go. Geneva, baby, about Italy. We might make it a double trip because Javon had the idea of him and Tiffany coming along with us. Well, what about Anika? She's supposed to be watching her. Well, either Rashida could do it or, well, maybe she can come along with us because, hey, by the time we all get to know each other, it's almost like she's going to be a daughter to me. Whoo, foreshadowing. So in the midst of this conversation, there's a scream and Anika fell off the swing and they rush her to the hospital. Now, the nanny is just obviously feeling guilty. He's like, look, I looked away for 1 second and she fell. And Geneva is pretty unforgiving and tells her to go. It's like, well, I just want to stay to make sure she's okay. And then William even says, like, look, it's a mistake. Okay, she's a kid. These kind of things happen. But, she just tells the nanny to leave. And not long after she leaves, that's when Tiffany shows up. And the look that Geneva has on her face, rolling her eyes, what are you doing here? And then Javon steps up and says that, look, I called her. And she's like, well, you can go. But she's like, did you call the rest of the girls? No. Well, good. Don't tell them. You can leave. Well, no, I want to see if Anika's okay. She's like, family. No, look, I'm not in the mood to go back and forth with you. And Tiffany looks to William, and William's like, I don't know what to say. And as soon as Tiffany and Javon are about to leave, that's when the doctor comes up saying that Anika's going to need a blood transfusion. And, you know, William steps up. Oh, that's no problem. I'll do it. Oh, actually, I need it from Geneva. Well, no, she hates needles. Let me do it. She's AB, and, or actually, yeah, she needs a type AB. And then that's when William is like, wait, what? That doesn't make sense. Wait, well, we can do a blood donation now. No. Let me talk to Geneva alone. No. I'm not going anywhere. Tell me what's going on. And that's when William's like, I'm a professor. I'm blood type O. There's no way she can be AB unless, and then that's when she looks over to Geneva and the screen goes black. Whew! Now, if that ain't a way to end a mid-season finale. So, folks, yeah, I got to say, Divorce Sisters, check it out if you haven't done so already. 8 episodes. Stream them on BET+. Good stuff, good stuff. But let me know your thoughts about the episode in the comments below. And with that being said, I will catch you all in the next video.